I'm sharing that because when you're upside down, your fingertips are going to be the way that you can actually move the entire stable structure of the body. So once we figure out a way to stabilize the core, stabilize the shoulder girdle, we can actually move from our center and come back to our center. Our fingertips are our friends to do that. So we really have to use them when we practice. You engage the fingertips almost like you were trying to make a fist with your hands, but your hands are flat on the earth, so they can't do that. But there is this action of pulling everything inwards. I'll reiterate that throughout class, but I would like to keep in mind your fingertips. And the next point is strengthening the forearms is also a very important part of this practice. So there are two main bones in the wrist. I won't get heavy into this, but there is the radius and the ulnar. The radius that runs along the pinky edge of the hands, and then along your thumb line is the ulnar. In order to stabilize the forearm area, in order to really get the most that we can so that weight doesn't pour into the wrists, we need those two bones to cross. How you do that is an action that if you were to bring your hands out in front of you, if you were in a plank pose, we'll all do this in just a moment, but for now we can visualize it. My hands are in the earth. Think about squeezing the heels of the hands towards one another. The hands are static, but it's this action of turning the eyes of the elbows in towards one another and forwards. It's almost like you were opening a can. And we keep those actions so to strengthen the forearm and to stabilize the wrists. I'll again reiterate ways to do that throughout class, but for now I would like us to all come to a tabletop position. And initially, this will be very brief, don't do anything at all. See if you can maybe just relax your hands as best as you can. Just really be entirely passive. You're not trying to do anything in particular. And now, in contrast, spread your fingers wide so you can even feel the webbings of the hands stretch. And then really ground through the mounds of all the knuckles. Make sure that your shoulders are above the wrists so you can feel weight pouring into the hands. Engage your fingertips. And then find that action of turning the eyes of the elbows forward. You'll feel the heels of the hands squeezing towards one another. You'll feel the palms planted firmly on the earth. So that's the action that we are looking for. And then feel free to rest, take a seat. So ideally, you felt a difference between the passive state, where the hands aren't doing anything at all, and the active state, where the fingers are spread wide, you are squeezing the heels of the hands towards one another, eyes of the elbows forward. find the correct stack of the hips, the shoulders, and the wrists. The last note, and this one is the one that, this is the one key that really unlocked my handstands. And if you are a yoga practitioner, this one might be a little bit unnerving because it might require some unlearning. When you are in weight-bearing positions, as I just was, shoulder protraction is what I would like you to do. What that means is, even in a tabletop, puffing up the space between the shoulders, spreading the shoulder blades wide, and maintain that space in plank pose, in downward dog. Something just shifted, however. Now that I'm inverted, what that requires is that I push the ground away from me and keep the shoulders shrugging upwards by the ears, that shoulder protraction. So that shoulder protraction is imperative in any weight-bearing position. Why that might be confusing to a yoga practitioner is because it is incredibly common for yoga instructors to say in downward dog, soften the shoulders away from the ears. I'm going to ask that for now, you get rid of that idea. Just play with this one. Try to do the exact opposite. It transformed my entire practice and really just allowed me to work within the realm of health and longevity in my shoulders. So think about any time that you are weight bearing, press the ground actively away from you. So when your arms are overhead, that requires that you bring your shoulders upwards by the ears. When your hands are on the ground in plank pose and tabletop, think about pressing the ground far away from you, spreading the shoulder blades wide. Shoulder protraction. All right, and the last, truly the last note is this class is going to use, in our conditioning portion of class, a type of breath work called Kapalabhati breath, the breath of fire. It might be something that you practiced before, but so we all start from the same point, I will explain it. The breath of fire, it can be incredibly detoxifying, it's invigorating, it can energize the body. But for today's class, we're actually using it to engage the obliques, the side core of the body. And that portion of the body is engaged naturally with the exhale. Kapalabhati, the breath of fire, is the breath where you use a forceful exhalation out the nose. And the inhales take care of themselves. So it will look a little bit something like this. We'll start with a clearing breath, taking a big inhale. A full exhale. We'll inhale 3/4 of the way up. Forceful exhales out the nose. Okay, that'll do. So it's this pumping of the abdomen, focusing exclusively on the exhales. When we use that type of breath work in conjunction with core stabilizing work, it's a pretty powerful way to get the most out of our time and our practice. And we're going to be using Kapalabhati, the breath of fire, in a hollow back shape. We'll do it in just a few minutes, but just for a visual at first, we'll be lying on the back, tailbone moves towards the heels, pressing the low back into the ground. We'll extend our legs up, relax the arms by the sides, and then lower the legs down towards the floor any amount. So it might be tiny, it might be quite large. Two things, it doesn't matter how far the legs are. You mostly want to be able to press your low back into the ground, hug your belly button up and in. So if the legs lowering down to the ground either causes the low back to peel off of the floor or for the low belly to puff outwards, then I ask that you lift the legs up a little bit higher. This course is all about creating impeccable foundational technique. So I assure you it can be a hit for the ego sometimes, but to scale back something in physicality so that your full awareness, your full presence can be there, it's going to be the quickest way you can progress in anything. So really take this course at your own pace. I empower you to do that. And then we'll do the forceful exhales out the nose from here. It'll look something like this. Woo! All right, with that, I believe we are finally ready to get moving. For today's class, we are going to also be using a wall space for the exercise, for the drill, your homework, if you'd like. So make sure that you have some wall space nearby. And with that, I will meet you in a child's pose. Any variation you choose. So you could bring the knees wide enough so that the torso falls really heavy between the inner thighs. Or you could bring the knees to touch, arms relaxed by the side bodies, palms face up. Just a few rounds of breath to notice how you breathe. Gently make your way to a tabletop position. So we're already going to focus on the wrists. Press the ground far away from you. Spread the fingers wide. We'll move through a few cat-cows at first. Inhale, lower the belly towards the ground. Spread through the sit bones, spread through the collarbones, lift your gaze. Exhale, pressing through the palms, through the shoulders, chin to chest, round the back body. Twice more, just like that. Inhale, pull the heart center forward. Exhale, press the ground far away from you. Shoulders above the wrists, spread the shoulder blades. Once more. Inhale, come back through center. Bring your fingertips towards the outer edges of the mat. Bring the eyes of the elbows towards one another. Press into the palms, protract the shoulders, tailbone slightly towards the heels. Keeping the shoulders right above the wrists, just begin to sway your shoulders from side to side. See if you can keep that core integrity as you do. And then really you can't do this wrong, so find some degree of discomfort. Approach it with curiosity. Making your way towards central, and then bring your fingertips towards your knees, your wrist creases shine forward. So this might be more than enough. You're welcome to stay right here, or you can walk your knees forward any amount. Keep your fingers grounded. Keep your elbows hugging inwards towards the side body. You might begin to peel the heels of the hands off of the ground. You might even begin to tap your elbows towards your legs. So I say might because we typically, you can move with me as I talk, so we don't really do much to focus on finger mobility, wrist mobility in your day-to-day life. So this might be incredibly uncomfortable. You might not have any idea how to make those actions happen. Just start at the first step. And then flip your fingertips forward once again. We'll come into first knuckle raises. Spread your 10 fingers wide. Press the ground away from you. Again, protract the shoulders. Tailbone swing slightly forward. Spread the fingers wide. Engage your fingertips. And then begin to peel your heels of the hands off of the ground. The thumb of the hand lifts too. We're quick to lift up. And then we are slow to lower down, bringing the heels of the hands back down to the ground. We move just like that. Just lowering the heels of the hands, the thumbs up and down. So some quick notes, you'll notice that my shoulders stay stacked above my wrists the entire time. This is one of those things that if you're not feeling it, it's probably because you're moving a bit too quickly. So see if you can really slow it down. My forearms are starting to feel as if they were on fire. Do 3 more. Woo, and lower it down. Walk your palms forward. Begin to lift your hips high up and back, downward facing dog. Get some quick refining. Spread your palms wide. Really be aware of your fingertips. Press the ground actively away from you so your shoulders shrug all the way up by the ears. You might need to bend your legs a lot. That's completely okay, especially in today's class. Focus mostly on protracting the shoulders. Shoulders upwards by the ears. Big inhale. Full exhale out the mouth. As you inhale, walk, step, or hop forward all the way to a seat. And then we will lower onto our backs. We're coming into 3 rounds of Kapalabhati, the breath of fire, and our hollow back handstand shape. So you will relax your arms by your sides, tailbone, touch slightly forward, so that your low back can really press against the floor. We want to really connect with our low core here. Extend your legs upwards. You know, you could also hold the mat as well. And then lower your engaged legs, so everything hugging in towards the midline. You lower your legs down any amount until you find that intelligent edge. Then we'll take a big inhale through the nose. Full exhale. Inhale 3/4 of the way up. Forceful exhales, about 45 seconds. Keep pressing the low back into the ground, engage the legs. Soften everywhere you can, stay with that steady breath, last moments here. Hugging the knees inwards towards your chest. Slowly release. You can gently rock from side to side. Return back to your natural rhythm of breath. And notice if your temperature has changed. Just notice what you feel. All right, my friends, second round. Relax your arms by your sides. Extend the legs overhead. So now we know what we're doing. Pressing the low back into the ground, hugging your inner ankles, your inner thighs, your knees towards one another. Keeping those strong legs active. Begin to lower your heels down any amount. Big breath in. Full breath out. Inhale 3/4 of the way up. Kapalabhati. Stay with it. Low back to the earth. Belly button towards your back body. Strong core. Forceful exhales, focusing on the side bodies. Last moments here. And as you're ready, slowly release. You can hug the knees in towards the chest. Rock from side to side. Feel what you feel. Last round, I promise you'll thank me tomorrow. Extend your legs up, engage the legs, slowly find your edge. Big inhale. Full exhale, we're so strong. Inhale 3/4 of the way up. Kapalabhati, breath of fire. there with you. Last few seconds, low back into the ground, keep the legs strong, soften what you can, and slowly release. Hug the knees inwards towards your chest, give yourself a gentle squeeze. We don't break for too long, begin to rock forwards and backwards along the length of the spine, making your way to a forward fold, Ragdoll pose, allowing the head to be heavy. You can grab for opposite elbows, you can interlace the hands to the nape of the neck. Slowly soften your fingertips down to the ground. Keeping the legs bent, slowly, vertebra by vertebra, lift the torso, rise all the way up. The head can be heavy, it can be the last thing that lifts. You can step the feet together. We'll find our handstand shape even here. Tailbone towards the heels, navel up and in. Arms relaxed by the side bodies. Palms face forward. We'll move through 3 quick sunnays. Big inhale. Full exhale. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up, shoulders by the ears. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward. Inhale, lift the chest, halfway lift. Hands to the floor, step your feet back to a plank. We'll pause on this first one, really refine it. So keeping the knees down on the ground is a million times better if that allows you to connect to the core. Wherever you are, knees lifted, knees down. Think about scooping the tail forward. Navel hugs up and in, pressing the ground away from you, spreading the shoulder blades wide. You can feel the weight of the body into the fingertips, engaging them. Finding that action of drawing the eyes of the elbows forward so you can really feel your thumbs ground. Next inhalation, shift your shoulders slightly forward. Knees down or not. To the count of 5, we're going to lower down to the belly in one long handstand line. Big inhale. Exhale, elbows hug the ribs, lower down for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Tops of the feet down to the ground. 3 rounds of Cobra. Inhale, lift the chest, Bhujangasana, baby Cobra. Engage the glutes. Exhale, heart to the earth. Twice more. Plant your palms, curl your toes, engage your legs. On an exhale, rise up through plank, child's pose, or tabletop. Back to downward facing dog. Shoulders upwards by the ears. Next, inhalation, walk, step, or hop. Your feet all the way between the hands. Lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, chest to thighs, fold forward. Inhale, root to rise. Reach the arms all the way overhead. Exhale, hands to the heart. Twice more, breath to movement. Inhale, reach the arms high, protract the shoulders. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward. Inhale, lift the chest, halfway lift. Hands to the floor, step your feet back to a plank. Big breath in. Exhale to the count of 5, halfway or all the way down to the belly. Lower down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On an inhale, lift the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades tight. Exhale, glide the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Keep pressing the palms down and forward. Next inhale, walk, step, or hop forward between the hands, engage the fingertips, lengthen the spine. Exhale, chest to thighs, fold forward. Inhale, root to rise, reach the arms all the way overhead. Exhale, hands to the heart. Last round. Inhale, arms high. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward. Inhale, lift the chest, halfway lift. Hands to the floor, step the feet back to a plank. Big breath in, protracted shoulders. Exhale, lower down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, glide the hips up and back, downward facing dog. We'll stay right here. Inhale, right leg rises, 3-legged dog. Exhale, step the right foot to the inside of the right thumb, low lunge. Anchor the right hip back, left hip crease steers forward. Slowly rise up towards high crescent lunge. Feel your inner thighs hugging inwards towards one another. We'll focus first on our back leg. As you inhale, begin to lower the left knee down, hovering it just above the earth. And as you exhale, more so than thinking about lifting up, think about extending through the left heel. We'll do that twice more. Inhale, lower the left knee. Exhale, extend through the left heel. Last time. Inhale to lower. Exhale, extend, engage your left glute. Front leg. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Exhale, bend the right knee, right above the right ankle. Twice more, just like that. Last time. Stay in the depth of the legs. Inhale, reach the arms high, high crescents. Here, the arms are not weight bearing. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Good. Big inhale here. Exhale to warrior 2. Turn the left heel down behind you. Right knee right above the right ankle. One strong line of energy from fingertip to fingertip. Find your edge in the hips. Soft and steady point of focus with the eyes. Flip the palms up. As you inhale, straighten the right leg. Reach the arms high. Exhale to Skandinasana. Bend into your left leg. Sink into the left hip. All right, now we're going to move into some functional movement. Soften your sit bones down to the ground. We'll bring our left knee at a 45-degree angle. If you choose, you can also stay with the foot on the ground. Try to keep your shoulders above the hips, and then begin to pulse the chest. Hands can come through to the heart center. Begin to pulse the chest between the legs. It should feel quite funky in the front of the left hip, internal rotation. Carefully bring your left foot down to the ground. Rock forward. So now we are on all 4 corners of this left foot. And then inhale through, halfway lift, Prasarita, hands to the floor. Exhale, low lunge, top of the space. Good. Next, inhalation. We'll come into a dolphin kick, bringing your elbows down to the ground in a forearm plank. Reaching your right leg high. So it's a little funky movement. Feel free to come into downward facing, 3-legged dog rather. But if you'd like, we'll be in 3-legged dolphin push-up. All right, also a funky movement. We'll take in a big inhale here. And as you exhale, keeping the shoulders steady, try to lift the elbows off of the ground. Bring the knee to nose, round the back body, shoulders protracted. And as you're ready, downward facing dog. Right leg high, up and back. Downward facing dog. Whew. All right, guys. So that's going to be our flow. We'll move through the opposite side. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, step the left foot forward. Shift your body weight forward all the way until you can use your fingertips. And then lift the torso, rise up, shoulders stack above the hips, hands to the hips. Find that inner connection between the inner thighs. Left knee right above the left ankle. Right leg can start quite bent too. And then as you inhale, lower the right shin down any amount. the shoulders even here. As you inhale, Dolphin Kick. Left leg high up and back. Forearms soften down towards the ground. Shoulders are upwards by the ears. Navel up and in. All right, taking a big inhale. Exhale, straighten the arms. Left knee to nose, round the back body. Navel up and in. Shoulders are spread wide. Next inhalation, three-legged dog. Left leg high up and back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward, vertebra by vertebra. Roll out to plank. Knees down or not. Exhale, lower all the way down to the belly. To the count of 5. Lower down for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Open the left arm wide. Left palm faces down. Bend your right leg. And then roll to the left hip, bringing any portion of this right foot down to the floor. A few rounds of breath before we move a little bit quicker. Remember, make this practice what you need it to mean today. You can add anything, you can skip anything and everything. I only ask that you breathe and you move in reverence. And slowly lower all the way onto the belly. And then open the right arm wide, right arm out to a T. Bend your left leg, and then roll to the right. Finding that intelligent edge. So a handstand practice, the true secret. You have to fall in love with the process. Every learning, every time you fall. And every little victory along the way that nobody else can see. But you can feel it. Same goes off of your mat too. And slowly release. Lower your belly all the way onto the floor. Palms right by the low ribs. Elbows hug inwards towards the side bodies. On an exhale, rise up to plank, child's pose, or tabletop. Back to downward facing dog. All right, guys, we move with the breath. Big breath in. Big breath out. Inhale, right leg high. Exhale, step the right foot forward. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, straighten the right leg, arms high. Exhale, Skandyanasana, sink low. Inhale, halfway lift, wide-legged forward fold. Exhale, low lunge. Inhale, dolphin kick, right leg high, forearms down. Exhale, knee to nose, arms lift, knee to nose. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, downward dog. Stay here or inhale to plank. Exhale, lower down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale to downward facing dog. Woo! Thank you for moving with me, guys. I can't see you, but I'm sure you're doing amazing. Let's do the opposite side. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, step the left foot forward. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, straighten the left leg. Exhale, Skandyanasana, bend the right leg. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, low lunge, top of the mat. Inhale, dolphin kick, left leg high. Exhale, knee to nose, round the back body. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale to plank. Hold plank or lower down for 5, 4, 3, Inhale, right leg high. Exhale, step the right foot forward. Inhale, high crescent. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, straighten the leg, arm high. Exhale, Skandyanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, low lunge. Inhale, dolphin kick, right leg high. Exhale, knee to nose, elbows lift. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale to pigeon pose, just as a transition. So you'll bring your right shin forward, parallel to the front edge of the mat. And then now we'll roll to the right hip, so we can bring our right shin to a 90-degree angle. And then scoot your left thigh forward. So we are now at a 90-degree angle as well. So we're in this deer pose, 90-90 position. And then from here, allow the chest to melt forward over your front leg. Just let the body be heavy. We're not here for long at all. For your last few breaths, as an exploration, you might choose to walk your fingertips, your torso over to the right. Maybe even moving towards a twist. Honor what you need. We'll all meet back with the arms forward. As you inhale, slowly rise all the way up. And then from here, we'll come back through pigeon pose. So we now roll back onto the belly of the left thigh, plant the palms. Curl your left toes behind you, engage the left leg. Inhale, right leg high up and back, three-legged dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward, out to plank. Exhale, we all lower down to the belly for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. As you inhale, lift the chest, Cobra Pose. Squeeze your shoulder blades tight, and then lift your right leg as well. So we're softening the shoulders away from the ears, one-legged Cobra Pose. And now we'll roll to the left, planting our right foot, extending the right arm long. And then as you inhale, begin to lift the hips, some funky version of Wild Thing. Whenever you've had your fill, you'll lower your hips all the way down to the ground. So a little bit of knee mobility here, and you'll know whether this is appropriate or not. You can either stay where you are, just relax, maybe enter back into Wild Thing again. Or you can bring your left foot to where your right foot is as well. And this will be more focused on knee and ankle mobility. Begin to try to see if you can bring your knees down to the earth. The right arm can do whatever it likes in order to make that happen. And then we all meet with the left leg extended long. Good. All right, now we'll just reverse the process. So we come into Cobra Pose, and keeping the heart broad, bending the elbows by the side bodies, heart space stays lifted. Exhale, heart to the earth. Big breath in, prepare. Exhale towards downward facing dog. All right, last little push. And then we move into our main exercise for today. Inhale, left leg towards pigeon pose. So you'll bring your left knee forward towards your outer left wrist. We find our setup shape, but then we keep rolling onto the left hip. So you can now bring your left shin to a 90-degree angle, parallel to the front edge of the mat. And then bring your right thigh parallel to the front edge of the mat. And then from here, you're going to want to lean to the left. You want to avoid the hips, but as best as you can, try to keep the heart space lifted. You can stay right there, or for 5 rounds of breath, or so, you can melt the chest forward. If you did so on the other side, perhaps you would like to explore to the upper left corner of the space, or maybe even move towards a spinal twist, before eventually all meeting extended forward. With an inhale, slowly rise all the way up. A little funky, but good for the hips. See if you can do so with as little help with the hands as possible. Bring your right leg back. You can angle that left shin in and then roll onto the left. Engage your right leg. Inhale to 3-legged dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward, plank pose. Exhale, all meet on the belly in 5, 4, pull the heart forward, 2, 1, 0. All right, inhale, lift the chest, bend your left leg. Squeeze the shoulder blades tight, engage the glutes. And then roll to the left. Left foot comes down to the ground. Extend your left arm forward. With an inhale, sweep the hips high. Left bicep by the left ear. Shoulder protraction in that right shoulder. Engaging the glutes. See if that gives you more space. And whenever you've had your fun, you can soften your sit bones down towards the earth. You can choose to repeat, or we'll come into that lower body mobility. You can bring your right shin now, or right foot rather, planted down with the left. And then this one, same foundation, however, our intention is to use the right hand to bring the knees down towards the earth. It requires quite a bit of mobility. Just see what you feel. And then eventually softening down to the ground. We'll reverse it. So this time around you can extend the left leg long. Then slowly make your way back to your belly. 1-legged Cobra Pose. Exhale, heart to the earth. Press your hips back towards your heels. Child's pose. Any variation you choose. Alright, beautiful humans. You did an extraordinary job through our core strengthening and our yoga flow. We're going to move into one last little bit of work. This will be your bit of homework that you can take away. And for this portion of class, we are going to be using a wall. So if you're not near one, you can move your practice space towards there. We'll use the wall and then come into a cool down together. But before we get there, I would like to show you one last core strengthening that is my favorite. It's one of my favorite things to do for core strengthening. And it's specifically quite amazing at keeping the shoulders above the wrists and helping you make that connection. So you're welcome to join me or simply watch. It can be really powerful to watch. If you sit on your heels, you'll bring your fingertips just to the outsides of the knees. You want the fingertips to be right about where the knees are. And then think about pressing the ground actively away from you. You can see my navel is already moving up and in, my chin's toward my chest, my shoulder blades are spread wide. And then using the strength of the core, so you can think about it hugging the navel to back body to propel the motion of lifting the hips up. So this is one of those things that as you lift the hips up slow, if you're doing it really quickly, it's not because you're super strong or doing it really, really well. It's just intended to move really slowly and with good technique. So keep hugging the navel up and in. Once you're at the peak of the motion, your shoulder blades are still spreading wide. And then slowly begin to come back to the starting position once again. So we'll keep moving just like that for a few moments. You can join me if you like, or you can simply watch and get used to what that motion looks like. And you'll move with your breath to stay connected to it. You should feel your fingertips squeeze the eyes of the elbows forward, shoulder blades spread wide, pressing into the earth, using the strength of the core, minimally using the feet, begin to lift the hips. And then as you exhale, slowly lower it down. A few more rounds on your own. So the movement that you're seeing right now in the shoulders, in theory, if you were to keep the shoulders in that stack and keep the core stable, then the legs, they can create all sorts of different shapes. They can move away from our center if our core is stable. Thus the importance of our foundation. And then whenever you're ready, we will now transition to the next part of our class. Thank you so much for joining me for Flow. All right, everyone. Hopefully now we are situated near a wall. The wall is one of my absolute favorite tools for a hand balancing practice. It's one that I use almost every day when I train. The thing is, there are good ways to use, I won't say good or bad. There are ways that you can use the wall that are really helpful in order for you to build the steps to hold a free holding handstand away from the wall. And there are ways that you can use the wall that actually create distance between this moment and that actually becoming a reality. Reason being, the most common way that I see people using a wall is to simply kick up into a handstand. The wall acts to catch the legs because most of people's worst fear is kicking too far and the body coming over. So the wall can help the fear aspect of inversions, but what it can also do is reinforce this banana shape in the body. So our goal, again, is to get the hips to stack above the shoulders to stack right above the wrists. So what can often happen, and the legs, of course, are in this line as well, as are the hands, the fingertips. So if your legs were to leave that line, let's say if they were to fall to a wall, what happens is the core really loses its strength. And when we're in that banana shape, when we're in that arch in our handstands, it is nearly impossible to create a strong foundation. And when we use the wall, it can unfortunately become a crutch by teaching us that this pattern is something that can be held. So we're not going to use the wall in that way, but we will be doing two techniques which I have found to be very helpful. The first is perhaps the most accessible one, and I'll talk you through it as we go. I'll also demo it. But the most important thing is keeping the shoulders stacked above the wrists. Perhaps the shoulders can move slightly beyond, but we're engaging our fingertips. So in order to set up this shape, it can be helpful if you have someone nearby. They can help tell you a little bit about your alignment, but if not, no worries, you'll be able to feel it. We'll all set up in the same way by simply sitting up against the wall. Extend your legs long out in front of you. So we're gonna create an L handstand. So right about where your heels are, that's where the tips of your fingers will fall, shoulder distance apart, so you can bend forward and help make that happen. And then we'll remove the feet from the equation, keep the hands as they are. And first, we just have the feet up against the wall, and then we begin to walk the feet up the wall until we find a position that we think is the shoulders stacking above the ribs. So keep pressing the feet into the ground, keep shrugging the shoulders upwards by the ears, and then notice what you feel in the hands. I personally notice I'm not grounding enough through my fingertips, so I need to press into the ground, squeeze the eyes of the elbows towards one another, stabilizing the wrists, engaging the fingertips. So for now, we're just gonna stay right here. Keep reinforcing those actions, pressing the ground away from you, shoulders upwards by the ears, navel up and in, tailbone towards the heels, eyes of the elbows forward. And whenever you're ready to come down, you'll do so slowly, mindfully was what I meant to say, but slowly came out. You can simply come back into a seat. Take a moment to really breathe deeply, to close the eyes. And I will continue talking. So the next movement that we're going to do is now we are going to bring one leg upwards. So know that you can repeat the past exercise, but we'll extend one leg high. What I would like you to keep in mind is that action of bringing the tailbone towards the heels, hugging the navel up and in. This will help keep the leg in a stacked shape. And yeah, we'll all meet there. So let's do a second round. Bringing the hips right up against the wall. Check where your heels are. That's where your fingertips now go. And then make your way up against the wall. Find your L stand. And then feel what you feel. So again, I notice that I'm dumping into the pinky edges of my hands. So I need to squeeze the eyes of the elbows towards one another. Press the ground actively away from you. And then feel free to stay right here, or you might lift your right leg high. So chances are the right leg is going to move a bit too far forward. See if you can keep it as best as you can above the hips. Engage your right leg, engage your right glute. Staying right here, pressing the ground away from you, shrugging the shoulders upwards by the ears. Feel free to take a quick break as we lower our right foot back to the wall, or you can come directly into the left side, extending the left leg high, tailbone towards the heels, engage your left glute, engage your left leg, shoulders up by the ears. And whenever you are ready to come down, you will do so slowly. Mindfully feel all the feels. Feel the heartbeat. And come back into stillness. So with the eyes closed and in this moment of stillness, I'd just like to take this moment and remind you that you are an absolute badass for having an interest in this type of play. And our role is to fall in love with the process, to notice as much as we can every step of the way. So whether a handstand is happening or not, it doesn't matter. What did you see? What did you learn along the way? All right, so now we can gently open the eyes if they were closed. Our last exercise is one that I will say, a quick disclaimer, it's not for the beginners. It's for those of you that are pretty comfortable in a handstand shape, with the wall, without it. But yeah, the shoulder stability is quite important, and more important than any of that which yet another reason why I love handstands, it's the element of fear. So this next shape that I'm going to show you, you can just take a mental note, or you can practice with me. You can incorporate a spotter if you choose. But I'm going to be bringing my nose directly up against the wall, so it's training the handstand line in the body. I will talk you through it. Yes, let's do it. So you set it up essentially in the same way, with the hips right against the wall. Find your fingertip placement, walk the palms back, and then find your handstand shape. But this time, instead of walking my legs in, I'm going to walk my hands in so that I'm right up against the wall. All right, so that took me a moment and I did have a clock to avoid, but I'd like you to watch a few things in my body. So I bring my forehead towards the wall, nose towards the wall. Engage my legs, engage my glutes. Ideally, my legs would be squeezing together, but I do in fact have a clock between them. Press the ground actively away from you, shoulders upwards by the ears. And you stay right here, keeping every portion of the body engaged for as long as you can. The easiest way to leave this shape, I will say, is to walk the palms forward. And you can either step the feet off. You can also cartwheel out. I'm going to choose to step right down. But those are the options. Woo. All right, so that's nose up against the wall. So I won't be guiding those. But if you do want to practice them, I am happy to elaborate a little bit more. But hopefully my demo, though you were not able to probably see all of my body, you can see the stack of the shoulders above the wrists, the engagement of the core, the glutes. You're always in that strong handstand line. All right, so if you do want to incorporate those into your practice, I recommend really timing it out. So if you want to start with 10 seconds, amazing, start there. If you want to do 30 seconds, amazing, start there. If you do feel pretty comfortable, I recommend minute-long holds or more. And really, gentle reminder, it's that foundational integrity. So what we focused on today throughout class was the stability of the wrists, engaging the fingertips, using the wrists, using the bones in the wrists, the muscles of the forearm to take some of the stress away from the wrists. We do that by squeezing the heels of the hands towards one another in weight-bearing position, squeezing the eyes of the elbows forwards, pressing the ground away from you. When the arms are overhead, it translates to shoulders upwards by the ears, shoulder protraction. And with that, my loves, let's cool the party down. Make your way onto your back. We'll start we'll start this with the legs up against the wall. So begin to bring the hips right up against the wall, legs extended up high. You can choose to just simply relax your arms, or you might interlace your hands behind your head. I encourage that. Beautiful opening into the shoulders. And for the next few minutes, I'm not going to say too much, but I invite you to feel the belly rising and falling. And let that serve as the portal to presence. And every breath, leads to a softening, leads to some form of a surrender, known or unknown. A conscious choice to relax within what already is. Feel free to stay exactly as you are. If your hands are interlaced and you'd like, you can begin to rotate your neck to the right. I like to think about it like bringing my nose towards my right elbow tip. Feel what you feel. So one of my favorite quotes recently was something that I was told really early on in my yoga journey. It was a teacher of mine who just said, we overthink because we underfeel. So if you find those moments in your practice where the mind does wander a lot, welcome that. It's completely okay. But then do remember that we're here to feel. We're greatest impacted by our choice, our commitment to feel. So keep calling on the breath. That's how we move from the mind to the body into a more cohesive state of balance. Gently bring the neck back through neutral, and then switch the interlock of the hands underneath the head. So now you have the opposite pinky, opposite thumb on top. Allowing the elbows to be heavy, the head to rest heavy in the hands. Just notice how you breathe. And then only if you're ready, you can rotate your head to the neck, or rather rotate your neck to the left, bringing your nose towards your left elbow tip. Full, smooth breaths in and out the nose. Gently shift the gaze back through neutral. You can choose to stay exactly as you are. You can put the class on pause and just stay in this shape for your final Shavasana. Or we'll slowly begin to bend the legs. You can choose to bring your hips a little bit farther away from the wall as you eventually hug your knees inwards towards the chest. We'll close with spinal twists. Open the arms wide. Shift the hips 1 or 2 inches to the left. Knees in towards the chest. Begin to lower the knees to the right. You can choose to look over either shoulder. Use the breath to stay in the feeling body. Inhale, bring the knees back in through your midline. And then shift the hips 1 or 2 inches to the right. Keep the knees in towards the chest and lower the knees to the left. Spinal twist once again. You can look over either shoulder. Just feel that sense of heaviness at the base of every exhale that you do take. Inhale, bring the knees back in towards the midline. Give yourself one big squeeze. And then make your way to your final Shavasana. So that can be your legs open wide, arms open wide. Your legs could still be up against the wall. Wherever you are, I ask that it's a shape that doesn't require effort. A shape where the body can really integrate all this hard work. And before I leave you in Shavasana, I'd like to remind you that when we move, let movement be a celebration of what this miracle body can do. It's not about what it can't do at this moment. It's about cultivating gratitude for this moment, within this larger process. Because at the end of the day, this is just play. And over the next few minutes, deeper and deeper we fall into this surrender that self-study is. It is here where I will leave you. Thank you so much for playing. Promise me you will never stop. From my playful heart to yours, I see you. I'll see you in part 2.